All right, we got a big episode here. Strap yourself in. We're going to talk about protocols. A while back, there was a big push to start, or a couple years ago, there's a big push to start. When you start making code, don't start with a class or a structure. Start with a protocol, they say. Protocols to me remind me of like adjectives. If a function is a verb, I can't type adjective, whatever. If a function's a verb and a property is like a noun, then to me a protocol is like an adjective. Oftentimes they end in able, A-B-L-E. Oftentimes people will name them something able. So like you can do flyable, shareable, destroyable. Oh, and also they should start in capital letters. So let's actually start by making a protocol. What's a protocol? How's it defined? Here we go. Protocol, walkable. So, or let's just say protocol sure, we'll just do walkable for now. Maybe there's a runnable one too, and let's say if you're walking, then you probably have legs. So we'll say there's a variable called legs, and maybe it's a quantity like integer. And then maybe, in protocols, you're going to want to use getters and setters. We'll have to have a whole video on getters and setters, but for now, just know you got to put this get business in here. Let's say there's also walking speed, and let's also make that an int for now, and give it a get inside of these curly braces. All right, there we go. We've defined our first protocol. And down here, I've already defined a class. And watch the class video if you want to spruce up on classes. But we've defined a class called a player. Given that player a name, a level. By the way, this corresponds to CIS 265, the one class I'm teaching, which is Unit 4.1 on protocols on page 1. So this isn't the exact answer, but it's close. They don't have this walkable thing. This is just a demonstration for you. Okay, so here we go. Protocol walkable. I've got a player class, and I want to adhere. I want to bring this protocol in for a player. Let's say we've agreed players should be able to walk. So we're going to bring in this walkable protocol. And once you bring it in, it starts yelling at you because you've got to account for the things that you said you were going to account for in that protocol. So protocols kind of keep you on track when you have multiple classes and structures and they all have to do the same kind of stuff. So I'm going to click the fix button because I'm lazy. So if you click that red button and then fix, it'll add these two variables in here. And now it's going to yell at us because we didn't return how many legs we have and what the speed is. So I'm going to return 2 legs for the player. And I'm going to set the walking speed to, I don't know, 5, whatever that means. Now it should be cool with that. Now you can also, if you're doing it this way, then this number of legs is never going to change. They're always going to return, if you have a player, it's always going to return 2 legs. What if there's some kind of a thing and it's got 3 legs? Or what if one leg gets blown off and now it's only got 1 leg? Now your player's only got 1 leg. Well, instead of returning, we can return this because we're trying to get this up here. We're setting our getters and now we're getting the value here. You can also do something like this. You can say legs integer equals 2. Then you should be able to knock off a leg or 2. But because you say it's walkable, it needs to have these attributes, or these properties, I should say, inside of the class. Okay, now let's work on the homework assignment because this is the protocol stuff. I'm going to delete this. This isn't a part of the assignment. I just wanted to show you where protocols, how they're made, and how you bring them in. And the assignment, they want you to bring in something called CustomStringConvertable, which sounds like a weird, I don't know, car or something. And it's going to yell at you because you're not conforming to the CustomStringConvertable protocol. Now, if you're ever curious about what each of these protocols are, you can hold down the Option key, the Alt key, Option, and click on them. And it'll give you a lot of information about how to conform to the protocol, which means how to add the stuff that the protocol wants to see. In this case, there's this description that it wants to see. So I'm just going to copy that in, and I'm going to paste it down here. So right now we're returning a description, and there's no X or Y, but there is name, so we can return a name, and we can return a level for our player here, because we've got this player class. So what is CustomStringConvertable really adding? What are we doing with that? Well, in CustomStringConvertable, it's kind of cool. It gives you the ability to print out things really simply. So now if we make a player, let's player1 be player, and then we're making a new one. Let's just call it me, Dave, my player. Let's say I'm level 1. Now when you go to print player1, oops, look at all this jazz, love it. When you go to print player1, it's going to give you this custom string right here, this right here. So you see I can change this around a little bit and have it print different things. So now it just says Dave 1. Actually, maybe it should say level. And maybe before this it should say player name. Something like that. So player name, oops, took out the slash there. There we go. Player name, Dave, level 1. So this is what CustomStringConvertable is adding, this protocol. Now, for me, in this homework assignment, they ask you to add, let's see, they ask you to add CustomStringConvertable, they ask you to add Equatable, they ask you to add comparable, all these things to this player class. For me, I need to get this stuff clearer in my head. So what I'm going to do is something a little different than they suggest. I'm going to take this out here, and instead of having it there, I'm going to add an extension to my class. Extension, player, and then I'm going to bring in CustomStringConvertable down here, and then bring this description stuff down here. So this is how I like to do protocols, where you're extending the class and then you're bringing in new functionality, and then you are accounting for your conforming to this protocol within the extension. It just keeps your classes a little more separate. So what's another one they want? They want this equatable one. Equatable is like checking to see if something's equal to each other. Like let's say you have a health app, like a health food app, and you wanted to write a funky thing that compares whether or not like an apple is better for you than an orange. So you can create, instead of, it changes what the equals means. So when you have two equals, usually it just means like, is it identical? But you can redefine that using this equatable protocol. So we're extending player again, and we're going to bring in equatable. Again, this is, now these equatable, CustomStringConvertable, these just come with Swift programming language. The Swift programming language ships with these protocols built in. As you saw earlier, you can define your own protocols, but these ones kind of just come with Swift. Now I'm lazy, so once it starts yelling at me, I'm going to click on the red circle with the dot, and it says is not conforming to equatable. Do you want to add the protocol stubs? That's a new term for me. I'm going to say fix. Yeah, just fix it. And it pops all this complicated code in, and this is, now it's saying, all right, there was this thing, it was called equal equals. Now you're going to redefine equals equals. And when you usually make this kind of a thing, it goes like this, like print if, or we'll just because it's playgrounds, we'll just say player one is player one equal to player two? Like, are they the same player? So this is going to check to see if they're the same player. And but that doesn't really make a lot of sense to the computer, to the program. I'm kind of babbling here, but what the instructions say they want you to do is, instead of just checking to see if they're exactly the same object, check to see if they have the same name and the same level. If they have the same name and level, then just say they're the same thing, which is not, in my opinion, a great way to go. I would make there be a variable called unique ID. So whenever you create a new character, make a new string with just a bunch of characters, and that's unique for that player. Then check to see if the unique ID is the same across each of them. I'm going to do that because I don't like the way they did that. So I'm doing it my way. Forget you. Actually, let's go back because I want your homework to be right. So let's do it the way they're expecting. But just know that, like, God forbid you have a player named Bob that's level 1, or if you're comparing different things, if they just happen to be named the same thing and be the same age or same level, then it's not going to be accurate. You're going to have to add in some extra functionality. What they want you to do is return a value. So return true if this, if the LHS, there's something new, is equal to LH or RHS. So LHS, RHS, what the heck is LHS and RHS? Left-hand side, right-hand side. In the Swift, I thought they told us you're not supposed to use abbreviations that mean nothing to regular people. You're supposed to spell it out, so this should say left-hand side, but apparently Swift just ignored that and just put LHS, RHS. So what they're saying is when you go to compare things, player 1, player 2, player 1, player 1, player 2. So we're trying to compare things here with this code that I'm commenting out, if I can type. This is the one on the left-hand side, this is the one on the right-hand side. So now I'm checking to see, is the left-hand side level the same exact thing as the right-hand side level? And they also want you to check if the left-hand side name is the same as the right-hand side name. We're just going to get this homework assignment right, but I know this isn't the best way to do it. So that is Equatable. All right, and I like to do, by the way, don't just throw all these protocols in at the same time. Like, you can stack them, comparable, equatable, all that stuff. And if you start stacking them like that, then it's going to be really hard for you to conform to each of the protocols. You'll get a little confused. And I'm going to do one last extension because that's what they're asking for, and we're extending the player. And it's going to be comparable. Comparable is like greater than or less than. It's going to yell at me now because I'm not conforming to it. Fix it. All right, there it is. And all we're going to check here is we're going to return to see if the level is greater or less than. Return if the left-hand side level is, and check this out. See, we're replacing less than. So we want to make sure the less than is correct. Less than the right-hand side level. Then it returns true. So now we've redefined what less than is, we've redefined what equals is, we've added some extra print functionality with the CustomStringConvertable. Now we've got player 1 named Dave. Let's make another player, player 2, named Kelly. Let's say I'm level 2, she's level 1, and we can print each of them because we've got the CustomStringConvertable. We can check, let's see, is player 1 less than player 2? And that's going to check to see the level. It should say no. Yep, it says false. And then you can also check to see if player 1 or player 2 is the same as player 2. Is player 2 player 2? Yeah, it is. It's exactly the same. It's checking both names and level. They both match. Okay, hopefully this is helpful. Let me kind of, I'm going to put a link to the code with the YouTube video here. So have a wonderful day. Thank you for sticking around for protocols. Very heavy stuff, very powerful stuff, and very useful because, again, you can use these protocols in classes, in structures, I guess even in enums. So I've never done that before. I don't know how that jam works, but I'll have to give that a try sometime. All right, best wishes. Happy coding.